Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. You're joining us here in Chamonix, France, the home of trail running in Europe. And I've put together a fun, fact-filled video today all about things I wish I knew when I started out on my trail running journey. So sit back, relax, let's get this video done. It's great to have you back on the channel. If you're new here, my name's Ben Parks, 225 marathoner. And yeah, I've done pretty well in some trail races, winning a few such as the South Downs Way 50 mile, and also pretty badly in a few races as well. Learned a hell of a lot over the years that I now want to put into this video to help you with your running. So as usual, we'll split this video up into 4 different sections. You can use your mouse around to have a look at the various different bits of it. Gear, nutrition, training, and then that all important racing at the end as well. And if you do find this video useful, give it a like and let us know down in the comments your best bit of advice for a beginner trail runner, and also share it with one of your friends that may be looking to get into the sport. Right, let's get stuck in to the first bit now. So before I started trail running, I'd look at social media and YouTube and things and see the amount of gear people would be carrying, and it would really put me off because I think there's so much expense in that. And there is a little bit of expense, but you really don't need that much to go on your first few training runs and your first few races. What we recommend is getting yourself a hydration vest, a hydration pack. We really like the offerings from Salomon. If that's a little bit too expensive, then have a look at Decathlon. They've got a really good solid range for anyone getting into the sport. On top of that, getting yourself a dedicated pair of trail shoes. Again, nothing too fancy. All the brands offer them. We always say get into a store and try them out, or look at some of the reviews here on YouTube. And the final little bit of kit we would recommend is getting yourself a decent waterproof jacket, something to protect you from the elements. It's more than likely you're going to be spending a little bit more time out running, a little bit more time on your feet. Weather conditions might change a little bit, so it's good to carry that in your pack. So 3 things to get into the sport: a good pair of shoes, a good hydration vest, and a good waterproof jacket. Quickly guys, if you're looking for the best one piece of gear you can buy, then get yourself a Ben Parks trail running hat. These hats are so lightweight, about 46 grams. They've got some beautiful details inside about the trails. They squish right down like that into your fist to put in your pack. Take them out, get them back on your head, dunk them in the water, and cool yourself down. benparks.com, the best trail running hats in the business. Right, moving on, let's have a chat about nutrition. Now in road running, nutrition is not easy, but it's a lot more predictable. Most people say just take a gel around about every 30 to 40 minutes in a race. You can kind of do that, it's nice and predictable. In trail running, it's not really like that because you have big efforts going up hills and then sort of downhills and things like that. You need to do this a lot more on feel, which comes from experience. So what I like to say to people is if you've got a big climb or something like that coming up, taking your nutrition just before that. Before you go out on your run, just have a look at the elevation of the course and see when you're most likely to need that nutrition, and then build your plan from there. Now on top of this, most road runners just train with gels all the time. For a lot of people that works well. Of course you can do that in trail running, but the best thing about trail running is you've kind of got so many more options because you have all the aid stations where the lovely volunteers bring all sorts of lovely treats out. But when you're training and in your racing as well, you've got the whole store cupboard available to you because you've got your pack on and you can carry lots of things with you. So really what I say here is experiment. If you like gels and they work, then go with them, that's fine. But you can experiment with lots of other types of things, more real foods, natural foods, whole foods and things that could really benefit and improve your racing. Right, moving on, let's have a chat about training. Now, I think it's so important here to do the vast majority of your training on feel and time, sort of time on feet, as opposed to trying to hit certain paces. Now, with the road running, we like to go out and say run at 8-minute miling or 5 minutes a K pace. That's just irrelevant on trails because the elevation, the different type of surfaces you're going to be running on. So most trail runners will just simply do this on time. They're going to go out for 60 minutes, 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever it is, and that's going to be done on feel. So if it's an easy run, just to try and keep your average heart rate nicely in that zone 2, or if you're just doing it simply on feel, just that conversational pace. Now for a lot of people when they start out trail running, they try and run all the time, just sort of blow up, because running uphill is really, really hard. So it's really important here, I'd say, for anyone starting out, and for a lot of people, sort of not just beginners, but people more intermediate and advanced, will be walking the climbs. Now this is so important because the walking the climb will be the same sort of effort as on the flat and potentially on the downhill as well. So you're trying to keep that effort level always nice and the same throughout. Now we're here in Chamonix, France, home of the biggest mountain ultra rail race, the UTMB. The elite pros will still be power hiking up some of the climbs here. So don't be put off by walking, it's all part of trail running, and everybody should be doing it. So when we're out on our training runs, we really want to focus on those climbs. It's so important. But what a lot of people don't realize when they start out is just how hard the downhills are. I'm sure a lot of hikers will relate here. Coming down is just as hard, if not harder, and especially a lot of stress on the body. So we really want to practice those downhills just as much as uphills. Now we can do this with hill repeats and things. We can run fast going downhills as well, and also a lot of strength work at the gym. Building those quads, those hamstrings and calves as well is so important if you're going to achieve success on the trails by being good at up as well as down. Now the next point isn't something I wish I knew, it's something I wish I had, which is available now, which is the route section on Strava or the route section on Garmin. A lot of popularity routing. Now I think you have to be a Strava subscriber to get access to this, but if you have a Garmin watch, you can get this completely free through Garmin Connect. And simply, this is going to show you all the popular routes in your local area. You can plan out some nice things and then upload them to your watch, and always let people know where you're going if you are going somewhere new. Right, moving on, let's have a chat about races. Now I think it's a really important tip when you've got a big race coming up is to try and replicate those conditions that I'm talking about, the terrain and the elevation in your training. Ideally trying to spend as much time as you can on the actual course that you're going to be running on, which is why we're out here in Chamonix at the moment. But if you don't have that available to you, or it's a bit far around the world, then just trying to replicate that as best you can. Now if you're stuck in the middle of a city and you've got a big hilly race coming up, then getting it on a treadmill, getting on the stepper and putting it up to maximum elevation, things like that will help you out. Now there's so many different types of trail racing you can do, running big mountain races or simply just on some nice flat trails in Norfolk or Sweden, for example. When I first started out running, I just thought everybody was running 100-mile races. That's simply not the case. There's trail races anything from 5k up to 100 miles, up to even 250 miles at the Cocodona 250. A huge variety of things. Don't just think I've got to run furthest, longest, highest, biggest. Some of the most enjoyable trail races can be those shorter ones, those 10Ks, those half marathons. Find out what you think is going to work for you. Start small and you can grow to those things, but sometimes you might just feel that those shorter races are your best bet. Now when you're looking for races, it's important to find some really good, reliable race organisers out there. A few of the favourites of our favourites in the UK that we've run with: Maverick, Centurion, Mud Crew, Lakeland, Threshold and Go Beyond. We'll link to all of those guys down below. And of course, if you've got some ideas of people that you've run with anywhere around the world, whack them down in the comments, shout them out, and we need to promote as many of these race organisers as we can. And finally in the races section is times generally are pretty irrelevant. There's so many factors that come in with elevation, climate, conditions. No two courses are the same, nothing is really comparable. So it's really important to set yourself some different types of goals. Now you know here on the channel we're all about process over outcome. So some good goals that you might like to set yourself is simply finishing the race strong. This is what so many trail runners want to do. They want to get through the whole race and run across the line, hands in the air, thinking, yes, I've had a really good day out there. Now you might want to set yourself some really big, ambitious goal race in the future you want to qualify for. So running qualifying races to get into the bigger races. We're here running UTMB. I've had to run qualifying races to get into this race. There may be some countries you want to visit, some new parts of the country you live in that you want to visit, to go and explore some beautiful places, take lots of photos, take in the scenery, meet some new people out there. It's all a fantastic experience. Or you might like simply to run on different terrain, do Marathon des Sables, running in the Sahara Desert, or maybe running an ultra in Antarctica on the snow. There is so many different ways you can run trail races around the world. Trail racing, just by its sheer nature, is a little bit more dangerous than being out road running. So it's really important to take some emergency kit with you just in case. And me and Sarah do this on all our runs. We've never actually ever had to use it, but it's really important to have it in case you or someone else out on the trail gets into some danger. So just carrying a very basic first aid kit, you can buy trail specific ones like that, Always please take your phone with you. I know we like to disconnect from social media and things, but really important to have that on you just in case. And also it's really important to just tell someone where you're going. You might be a little bit more off the beaten track. Tell someone the route you're going on before you head out, and then if anything should happen, people know where you're likely to be. And then finally, a little secret hack here, guys, is getting yourself some toenail scissors or toenail clippers. Keeping those toenails really short is so important in all running, but especially trail running, where the front of your feet is likely going to be hitting the front of your shoes as you're going down hills, and you're going to end up with black toenails, which can be a little bit painful and things. So keeping those toenails nice and short is super important with trail running. Just make sure you've got just a little bit more extra space at the front of the shoes so your feet can breathe and move around nicely. So the final thing to say, guys, is you're going to be starting something new. Don't expect to love it straight away. Trail running is really quite different from a lot of running people do. You might be looking down at your feet, trying not to fall over, using different muscles, or you're getting tired. But give it time, stick with it, and I'm sure you will find it is an amazing thing. I like to split my year up into the summer. I really love being out here in this environment, doing these type of races. And then the winter times, that's when I like to get back to my road running. It's always good to have a little bit of a mix, lots of different things going on. So that's it, guys. Hope you've got some tips and tricks from this video. Please give it a like. Answer our question of the day is, what is the best piece of advice you've been given, or the best tip that you would give to some beginner trail runners? We're off to get a big training run done out in the mountains now. Please check out the website, benparks.com, all the latest training plans, gear, trail hats on there as well to help you with your running. Thank you to the Patreon supporters and the YouTube legends. That's it, guys. Happy training, happy racing, and we'll see you in the next one.